So I want to welcome everybody from across the state, and we're really so glad to be here and to be able to be with you today to talk a little bit about how you can support your kiddos at home. I know I have two, I'm calling them interns at home, and it has been definitely a challenge. And so even as a former educator, I can assure you that I am on the struggle bus, just like many of you. And so I am thrilled to have two amazing educators with us that we work with and have worked with for many years, who are going to talk to us a little bit about two of the most common platforms that that teachers are using. And so I briefly want to introduce them to you, and then we're going to dive right in. But we have Wiley Brazier, who's on the phone with us, or on the line with us, who is a graduate of our Education Leadership Institute, as well as a current lead fellow with the organization. And he is a former classroom educator and current administrator. There he is with, he does a lot of PD work, particularly technology-based PD work. So really glad to have him. And then we also have Aaron Jura out of New Orleans, who's a former English teacher at Warren Easton High School, and now is an administrator. And so glad to have him. He is our Zoom guru, is what we call him. So he's going to be sharing with you a little bit about Zoom later on in the broadcast. But I want to give Wiley and Aaron a chance just to say hello and welcome everyone and add anything in that I may have missed. So we'll go with Wiley first. Wiley, want to tell us hello and welcome us, and tell us a little bit about yourself, anything I missed?
Yeah, sure. Hey, how are you, everyone? As she stated, I'm Wiley Brazier, and I do a lot of work. I'm a Google certified trainer and a Google certified innovator. And I do a lot of work with districts all over the country. And I'm just jumping in because I just finished a call with a district out in California. So that's it. We're going to go through some tips for Google Classroom today, and supporting your children with Google Classroom.
Awesome. Aaron, you want? Yep, there you go.
Yeah, hey, welcome to Online Learning 101. We're excited to be here. I became a Zoom expert along with everyone else. So I just use it every day. So I guess that's what makes me an expert at this point. So I'm happy to talk to you about Zoom and any other really video platform for delivering content. It doesn't necessarily have to be Zoom. Some people are using Hangouts. Some school systems are using a variety of software that's out there. Even Facebook's getting into the game. So there could be different platforms that you're using for those classes, but I'd be happy to discuss that right after we talk a bit about Google.
I'm going to turn it over to Wiley now, and Wiley, are you going to share your screen? Is that how you want to do this? And yes, let him talk to you about Google Classroom.
Great. And so what I will do right now is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just kind of go through some basics to support your child. I'm going to go over the basically like the anatomy of Google Classroom. You should be able to see my screen, maybe a little bit too much of my screen. So here we are in Google Classroom. We are looking at it from a student perspective right now. So when your child goes into Google Classroom, they will see an overall list of all of their classes here. Okay, so these are a bunch of classes that I am enrolled in. And I actually have a class for my children. This is an older class that I had for them a couple of years ago that we were just doing some enrichment stuff for. And that's what we'll kind of take a look at today. So in order to take a look at what's happening in the classroom, if there are assignments that are due with a due date, when you look at them at a glance here, you should see what those assignments are right here. But on this tile, I don't see anything right now because I don't have any assignments that are due. Once I click to go into the classroom, it's divided into 3 areas. We have the stream, make that a little bit bigger just in case. All right. So we have the stream, we have classwork, and then we also have people. Now, to break it down real quick, the stream is where it's kind of like almost like Facebook or like your Twitter feed, like your Facebook feed. It's just all of the announcements and the assignments that have been posted into the classroom for your child. Okay. Um, so you'll find a combination of announcements and assignments. What I recommend for you to do is to go also into here on the left, there's a what's upcoming. Um, and so again, there's nothing, these are only things that have a due date. Now, sometimes teachers may not put a due date. And so if they don't put a due date, it will not show up on the upcoming or on that tile. So the best place that I recommend and I show parents to go to is under classwork. Okay. And so when you go under classwork, that is where you'll be able to see what is due on each of the different dates. Teachers can organize their assignments into categories, which is what you see here. So like this is just something for my kids. I had an Adobe one and a vlog. I had the kids, they wanted to vlog. They wanted a YouTube channel, but I was like, no, you can't have that. So you can do a vlog right here on Flipgrid through your Google Classroom. And so and then this is another activity. So I would definitely pay attention to what's happening on the different categories. I think in EBR, what I've been seeing is that there is and I know we have more than just East Baton Rouge Parish School System parents here, but majority of the time right now, what I'm seeing is that teachers are putting a category for distance learning. So then there'll be a distance learning actual title here, and you'll be able to click and see what's happening on each assignment. So when I click on a specific assignment here, I'll be able to see a couple of things. The first thing that I see is what the actual assignment is, okay? And so this one is just, hey guys, I want to see your artistic creativity and see your writing, copy and paste those things from the pumpkin and so on and so forth. One thing to really note for parents is over on the right side here, where this will let you know the status of that assignment. It'll say one of three things. One, missing. That means that, of course, they have not turned it in. The other thing that it will say is turned in. Okay, that means they turned the assignment in on time. And then the third thing that it can say is turned in late. Okay, because Google automatically timestamps everything for them. Okay, so three things again. They'll be turned in late, or missing if it has not been turned in. So in order to view the actual information that is in the assignment, we'll click on View Assignment. Okay, and so once they click View Assignment, it opens the actual assignment up a little larger so that you can see the work that they need to do. Now, in this particular assignment, I gave them, as the teacher gave them the information that they needed to manipulate. So on this one, there's actually a presentation that if they click on, it will open up that actual presentation. If you see the name of your child's name on it, that means that it's their copy and they need to, they can manipulate it, write on it, and then add additional features to it. So this was an assignment around October, around Halloween, that the kids were supposed to build their own jack-o'-lantern. And so the directions are here. So I would go and grab one of these different assignments, one of these, and make a jack-o'-lantern, and then write a story, okay? Now, after the child or after your child has finished creating this specific or finished the assignment and they are ready to turn it in. My computer, my internet is a little slow, as with most of our internets is running a little slower now, right? And so it would have a little turn in button right here, but it takes a little while for it to pop up. But there's a turn in button. And so anything that you add into, let me just do a little something here. Some eyes here, I'll copy and paste. And as you can see right here, it says last edit was made 3 minutes ago. I'm just going to paste this here, and it automatically saves everything as your child is adding different things. So even if I were to type something here, you can see at the top it's saving, and so it saves everything automatically. Okay, so you don't ever have to worry about if it is saved or not, or did they save it, things of that nature. Once they complete the actual assignment, I don't see my turn in button that is supposed to pop up here, but once they complete the assignment, all changes have been saved and they can just close that assignment and go back to the Google Classroom. This is where they will be able to click the turn in button, okay? The turn in button, or if they also need to add some additional resources to their assignment to make sure that it's completed. Just say, for instance, they're supposed to take a picture or upload a picture or upload some other type of file. They can click add, and right here, they can actually create a Google Doc or another Google slideshow. They can also clicking on file. So if you click file, then it will allow the ability to upload from your specific device, or even be able to access things that are in Google Drive. In addition, if I scroll down right here, one other thing that the parents need to be aware of, because I don't know with what some of the teachers are doing with your specific child, but you can, if you have a question, like, teachers aren't at school, they might, you might not be able, you can't call the school right now. They may not be necessarily as responsive to email. And so you can go right here within Google Classroom where it says private comments. So if you have a question about how to support your child with the assignment that they've been provided, or there's something missing, you can go right here and add a private comment, and it will go strictly to the teacher. That way, it's not public information. There's also, though, the class comments. And so if a question is typed here, then it will be put so that all of the class can see assignment. Okay, so that's what that is. I will go ahead and click on the turn in button so you can see what happens. It will let me know that one attachment is going to be submitted for building a jack-o'-lantern, and I'm going to click turn in. Then once I click turn in, it will see, again, that's what I just mentioned to you before. See, I had a due date on it. And so it will show that this assignment has now been turned in late. All right. If your child makes a mistake and, or they turned it in before you saw it, and, they can still go back in and click here to see what they turned in, or to show you what they turned in. And we should be able to scroll down and see those little eyes that I put on there. But if you don't like or they need to go back and fix something, you'll be able to see right now that I can't go in now because I've turned it in. I can't go in and edit it, or I shouldn't be able to go in. I turned it in. But if you go in and you can't edit it, there it is. Okay, so it's supposed to give me just view only access. So I shouldn't be able to go in and edit it. And so now it'll say right here, view only. Once I turn it in, it's kind of like, rather, when you're in class, you have your physical copy of the paper, and when you turn it in, so you can edit on the physical copy that you have, but then when you turn it in to the teacher, then you can't edit it anymore because you don't have possession of it. And so it's very similar in Google Classroom. So now I only have view only access here, but if I need to get it back so that I need to update something, I can click on unsubmit, and I'll then be able to edit it or do any type of updates that are needed. I'm going to go back to, and I can see also how much this assignment is worth here in the upper right corner. I'm going to go back to the classroom for parents, and so I have a few other things there. And so under people, I can see who the teachers are and who my other classmates are as well. Google Classroom from a teacher perspective, because teachers can go in and add email addresses for parents so that they get automatic summaries daily of what's happening in the Google Classroom. So now I'm in here as a teacher, okay? This is not the same classroom, but I'm in as a teacher. And as a teacher, I can go in, if I had students in here, and invite guardians by putting in their email address. That way, you as a parent can get that information given to you. Where's that same classroom? Yeah, here we go. So this is that same classroom that I just had up. And so I can invite guardians right here. And so this is where the parent can put in the email address, and then that parent would then automatically get, now the parent would have to go in and accept the invitation, but you would then get summaries on a daily of what's happening there in the Google Classroom, okay? I am going to drop 2 resources for you in the chat. This is, and I'll just show you what they are real quick. This is a cheat sheet or a presentation that I actually use to help bring all of those Chromebooks to all of the kids in EBR. And it goes through exactly how to log in for the first time, whether you're brand new or not. And it goes through all of these different things that I just went through with you, of how you join a classroom, how you create a classroom. And so it's applicable for both parents, teachers, and students. I'm also have a cheat sheet here, a user guide that might be more applicable for parents and students, because this one is strictly for students, as you can see, and it gives just screenshots. And so it's a few pages, but it does simplify everything. So if your teacher is giving a class code, it shows where to go in order to access the classroom and be able to turn in your work and things of that nature. But I did want to give you a quick walkthrough on it. I know that was a little quick, but I just wanted to go through the basics of being able to support the parents. With that information that was just provided, you should be able to help facilitate work, help your child in Google Classroom, and be able for them to turn in their work, join a classroom, be able to receive their work from their teacher, and be able to get any types of questions that you need answers to support your child at home as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Wiley. We really appreciate your time and sharing those resources. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I learned quite a bit. So I want to go ahead and turn it over to Aaron Jura, who's going to walk us through some of the components of Zoom.
All right, thank you so much. So I think, if you've been following the news, the most common complaint about Zoom, at least in the past 2 months, 3 months, just about, since this all started, has been this idea of Zoom bombing, which I've read it everywhere. It's sort of slowed down a bit because of a lot of privacy and security changes that Zoom made on the back end of their system. So Zoom bombing, let's put Zoom bombing in the same bucket as the Tide Pod Challenge. Essentially what Zoom bombing was, they figured out, is something probably a lot of my students, I teach high school, were enjoying annoying their teachers with, which is posting their Zoom classroom links to Twitter and various other places on social media, and then asking followers to come annoy their teacher in their classrooms. So essentially what's happened here is Zoom has taken this in and figured out, hey, we need to do something about this. And so they've implemented a number of security and privacy settings on the back end as it relates to Zoom's security protocols. So now, as the host of a meeting, me as the teacher, you noticed when you entered this room, there was a waiting room. That didn't really exist before on all accounts. Now it does. What that does is it allows the teacher to sort of act as a gatekeeper. Imagine it as the virtual classroom door. The teacher's standing there greeting students as they're coming in, rejecting students who are supposed to be in a different classroom. That's essentially what the waiting room is. It's meant to stop students, and as we see the student's name and match it up against our roster, we're allowing those students, verified students, into the classroom. Now, there are other things such as screen sharing and annotation. Annotation meaning students writing up on an article. Maybe in my English class, I want them to highlight the claim of an article. So I turn over annotation to the students, and then some student writes a curse word on the annotation. Well, that used to be a problem too. Now, as the teacher, we can see who it is that's fooling around in the classroom. We can place that student on hold. It's essentially the equivalent of, in a classroom, putting the student outside so you can have a private conversation and then letting them back into the classroom. So that being said, there are privacy issues associated with any kind of technology that is going over the internet. Zoom has made some changes. What you want to know as a parent is that the password, there's a password associated with every Zoom meeting. It can be turned off, but most schools have those turned on. That password's important because the student's going to need to type that in order to actually access the classroom or the meeting that they're participating in. That password should not be shared. Sometimes it's hard, especially if like my students do. Sometimes they want to have a little laugh at the teacher's expense while the teacher's trying to figure out how to kick this person out of the meeting. I would just encourage you to, know the passwords, know the timing of any kind of Zoom meeting. Zoom, unlike Google Classroom, is meant for your whole class meeting. Imagine it as your English class, the period that English class is happening. Google Classroom, on the other hand, is more like the binder that stores all of the information and assignments and calendar that student is carrying around with them and has access to at all times. It's their personal binder. So parents and students are going to use Google Classroom to turn in assignments, to access materials that need to be password protected, usually due to copyright issues. Whereas Zoom is going to be your live class, like we're doing right now. I'm meeting with you live. This is going to be my whole class instruction for students, and it'll look different depending on grade levels. High school is going to look a lot different than an elementary school Zoom classroom. So that's something to be considered. I do want to talk about a little bit of the controls on Zoom. Now, I'm going to have to sort of verbally talk about this because you can't see my screen in that way. So you can't see all of the controls on the host side of this presentation. What you should be able to, though, see is on your side of the presentation, you should be able to find a participants button. The participants button is really great because not only does it show you everyone that's in that classroom along with your students. So if it's your students, it's going to be all of their friends and colleagues in school, but then it's also going to be instructors, teachers, anyone participating from the administration in that particular live class. You're going to have quite a number of controls here. For the most part, you should see yes, no, go slower, go faster, those sort of questions down at the bottom. These are polling questions. So I'm going to ask you one right now. If you can find the participants section in your screen, can you please go ahead and hit the yes button? So this is perfect, and I see it going off on my side as the instructor. So what this is used for in a classroom setting is I can ask you a yes or no question as a student and you can answer it. So right now I know that 2 out of all of us or 6 out of all of us now have found the yes button. So I feel comfortable that you can find the yes button through this participant screen. And maybe I might need to ask for it's called a check for understanding. Maybe I need to check with you and make sure that I'm not going too fast because I can't see your confused face all the time. Maybe your camera's off. So in a classroom, I could look out and I could probably pretty much tell as a teacher if I'm moving too quickly because I'm going to see this dumbfounded look on every student's face and I'm going to immediately know I need to slow down, I need to back up, I might need to reteach something. Go slower, go faster is sort of that question. So a teacher might ask you whether or not let me know, press go slower if I really need to back up and re-go through this with you from last week's lesson. Or if you've got it, you feel like you got it, press go faster, and that's gonna make me know that you're on track with me. So those types of questions are important, and it's important that you know where to find those. Also important, equally important for you, because unfortunately, you're tech support at home right now. So one of the biggest challenges for parents and teachers has become being tech support in the home. So here in the home, you have your own technology. You might have technology that's provided by the school. But if your child is having trouble getting into their Zoom class or submitting an assignment on Google Classroom, they're not going to necessarily be interfacing with their teacher at that moment when they're having that challenge. They're probably going to be interfacing with you first. So as the home teacher, it's important to know some of the most common issues that are happening on Zoom. One of them I saw earlier, but it resolved itself. When you first enter Zoom, one of the biggest challenges is there's sort of a lag between the time that your internet connects you to your Zoom classroom and the time that your audio connects you to that Zoom classroom. So it's not that necessarily your audio is not working. It just takes a moment for the audio to kick in. Another important note, and probably the most common troubleshooting that I've experienced over the past couple of weeks has been related to microphones. My microphone's not working, no one can hear me. There's a really important step to that process that happens as you connect to the Zoom meeting. You need to tell the Zoom meeting how you want the audio and microphone to connect. Most commonly, laptops or PCs are going to have built-in microphones into the system. That is, if you're not plugging in your own headset. So right now I'm speaking to you from my laptop's microphone. In order for that to work, when you first connect to the meeting, you need to authorize your computer to connect to audio with Zoom. So there's a button, it's easy to miss it. It's when you first enter the Zoom meeting link that says allow computer to manage audio. Make sure you click that, or that your student clicks that when they're accessing the classroom. That's going to allow them to speak and to hear. If they're not able to speak, they might have a microphone issue, which can definitely be troubleshooted. There's a little up arrow near the mute button that allows you to troubleshoot. You can see test speaker and microphone, or you can switch to phone audio. Phone audio means I'd be calling in, talking through my phone. That's really if I'm having a big challenge with my computer's audio or my computer microphone, or maybe I'm in a place where I don't want that to be out loud and I don't have headphones. I might need to call in on the phone. That's totally an option so long as your presenter or your host, the teacher, has allowed it. Other things that are important to note here, sharing screens and functionality like that. There are times, and again, every classroom is different. You know this. Students learn at different levels. Elementary school is going to look a lot different virtually than a high school or a middle school classroom might. The thing to note here is that sometimes teachers are going, if you have older learners, especially in high school settings or middle school settings, the teacher's probably going to use annotation tools to analyze documents or to read a particular section of their virtual textbook. What they're really doing here is they're encouraging student participation. So instead of me just sort of delivering the lesson like I'm delivering to you, you're all adult learners, that's a lot easier to follow. When I'm working with a kid in a high school setting or a middle school setting, I'm probably going to want to see them doing the work. I'm going to want to guide them through how to produce this work, but I'm going to want to see them actually create the content. So that's where annotation comes in. Let me see, I'm going to try and turn it on here just so that, well, first let me share my screen. Another thing, y'all, trial and error. I mean, this is not everyone's forte. It wasn't mine before this happened. It becomes just, you have to get used to it. So there are going to be challenges. There are going to be little lags. It's not going to be as seamless as a regular classroom is necessarily, but those are all things that also have positive impacts because not everything always goes right and you have to be able to adapt. So as far as adapting to a new situation, hey, students are going to have that down pat because they're definitely adapting, parents are adapting, and teachers are adapting, everyone's adapting, and we're trying to make it work as best as we can. I just turned on shared annotation. So if you're able, I'm going to write something on the screen. I went ahead and turned on shared annotation. So this document, if you hit the annotate button, you will be able to write all over this document. So you can see I'm writing on it. There's a little red squiggly line. That was me. If you annotate this document by clicking annotate and then just draw something on the screen, you can do that. You can also use text. I'm not a great person for handwriting with my mouse. So sometimes I need text writing, so it just looks better. If I were to handwrite that with my mouse, it would look like a bunch of scribbles and students would not know what I'm trying to get at. As the teacher, I can clear the drawings, as I can also go ahead and stop annotation. So if someone's doing something naughty, not only can I see who that is, but I can also, and probably will put them on hold and go try and sort out why they're disrupting my virtual classroom. But I can also clear the content and move on. A couple other things that I just want to go through. These aren't necessarily Zoom specific, but I think they're really helpful. If you were on my teacher seminar a few weeks back, we discussed this, but I think it's important for parents too. And we'll put this in with your link recap, but texthelp.com is a great resource. It's a company that has tons and tons of solutions and products that are free, that will help students, including students with disabilities, but also students who just need a moment. Perfect, I see annotation, excellent job. So students who are having trouble, I'm going to turn off annotation now, or students who need a little extra support getting into this content, what this site does is it gives you access to a ton of tools. Read and write, that first one here, invaluable resource. It's free. If you're using Google Chrome, it's super easy to integrate. What this allows you to do, and I'm going to sort of demo it for you, is it allows your student to simplify actions. So if I'm in this document and it's busy, if I'm easily distracted, wow, there are images. If I click tweet, now I'm on Twitter. Now you'll never get me back. On the right-hand side of the screen, there's all kinds of content here. Well, this tool allows you to do a variety of things. I'm going to click on, and again, this is called Read and Think, and it's available at Text. I just showed you where. It's available here at texthelp.com, which will provide you links to. Toward the right here, I can do something called Simplify Page. What this does, it basically, if you've ever seen like a print format document, it simplifies the page for me. It makes it a little bit easier for me to read. It takes away some of the distracting content. And now all of a sudden, I have the same article that I was just viewing here with a lot of distracting, potentially distracting content, especially when we get into those share buttons and then that takes people off onto social media. Now I have a simple document that I can review. Not only that, for students, I've seen this especially with students who struggle with dyslexia. There's a focus button here that allows me to sort of focus my eye on a particular area of the text. And I can make this smaller or larger, the focus area, depending on how I want to do that by manipulating it here. I can color it. I have it in pink. Pink and yellow tend to work really well for students who have dyslexia or focus issues. It highlights it in a different color. It keeps the eye focused. So now I'm able to read, and as I'm scrolling down this page, it sort of keeps my eye where I want it. This works as well on a document like this. So if I didn't simplify the document, maybe I still want to keep my eye focused on a particular area. Here we go. I'm now focusing my eye much more on this headline than I would have been if it looked like this. Not only that, this particular software allows you to add on highlighting capabilities, so I can highlight in different colors, different parts of this text. I can go ahead and have it read aloud for me. So if the teacher's presenting this, but maybe I'm a student who needs it read to me, I'm an Audible learner, just by clicking the play button, it can go ahead and start reading this content to me. There are picture dictionaries where if I have extended needs, where maybe I need a picture of the word of what conversation looks like. If I hit picture dictionary, it's going to give me an example in a picture dictionary form of what a conversation is. All of a sudden I know it's people talking to each other, right? So there's just a lot of things that this software does. It's absolutely free. It can be added on to your Google Chrome. Again, it's at texthelp.com. I'll briefly, very briefly, because you can go through all of these. Equatio allows you to write in algebraic format. So instead of a student having to figure out how to type the little superscript squared, they can just go ahead and download Equatio and they can handwrite the squared, and it's automatically going to convert that to text, which can be imported right into your Google Docs file and then submitted through Classroom. RaiQ provides feedback, grammar feedback, sentence structure feedback, almost like a teacher in your classroom, that'll allow you as the parent to work with the student on writing, almost like they have that tutor right there in the home with you. Fluency Tutor, that's your reading fluency. So if a student needs to be, needs a little more practice with their read alouds or tracking progress on read alouds, Fluency Tutor, also free software, allows the student to read it to the computer. The computer calls back some feedback to them. It might ask them to reread a particular section, applying some feedback, and then gives that thumbs up that we're progressing through our read alouds. So although we're on a different type of system than we've been on before, it's not a time where we've stopped learning. It's just a time where we're going to be heavily relying a lot on technology to ensure that we're doing some of the work that normally would happen in a classroom. Maybe I go and meet a student right at their desk and provide them some individual support. Now that might be technologically providing them some supportive tools that'll help with the content and understanding exactly what's going on. So I definitely recommend texthelp.com. Go to products at the top, or explore our products. It's going to take you right to all these products, and you can immediately download these tools right into your arsenal and use them. Super simple, always free, no information required, so you don't have to provide a commercial company with students' names or email addresses where they're marketing to them. Yeah, it's just a great way to meet students where they are and to use the tools that are available to us. Yeah, absolutely, it can. So here's the, it does work really well in various languages. It has a translate tool on there as well. So that app does allow translation. So if you're giving someone, let's just say it's Spanish language, if you're giving them a Spanish language document, or an English language document, even for EL, English language learners, these items can instantly be translated. Now, the one thing I will mention is the picture dictionary. So the way that that's working, I've never tried it personally on a document in a foreign language. I know that it does have a variety of language supports built in. It's definitely recommended for assisting students, EL students who are English language learners. But as far as students in a foreign language class, it can also be used because it can help them translate particular documents into their native language. And that every language that it covers should have the same amount of support. And again, it's texthelp.com. They do have, I'll also mention, just for you since you're a teacher, another great resource is brainpop.com.
Okay.
So using BrainPop is sort of gamifying education, but they have that in a variety of languages as well.